Let's get people caught up for those who do not know, who have not been following any of this very closely. Please first, for the people, and you can get this entire thicket of the innards of this scandal at Pablo Torre Finds Out. He has more information than anyone else doing mainstream reporting on this, or any kind of reporting that I've seen on this. First, tie the two things together. They're two different things, or they appear to be two different things that are put together in a way that don't fit, but you link them. It is the Terry Rozier betting scandal, and it is the Chauncey Billups rigged poker game scandal. Those seem to be different things. You tie them together. How?
Operation Royal Flush and Operation Nothing But Bet.
That's right. The roots of them, I mean, we reported pretty exhaustively, and I think it's worth going back and watching that episode if you have an extra hour today, by the way, the July episode that Amin and I did with Tom Haberstroh. We identified one of these characters, Amar Awade, and that guy is one of the key characters in this story. That is a dude who was infamously, now allegedly, I should say more specifically, allegedly cheating at poker. He's also one of the guys in the original Jonte Porter group chat. He was the guy, allegedly, that helped come up with the idea of, hey, Jonte Porter, one way to pay off your debts is feed us inside information so we can bet on your unders. Relatedly, the Jonte Porter group chat, the way that was allegedly orchestrated was through a guy named Shane Hanan, who set up a network of quote-unquote straw bettors, these other people around America, through whom they could make bets. Lots and lots of bets. So that's the Jonte Porter story. Shane Hanan, who is a real key character in this whole thing that we spend a lot of time on in this episode. July episode, Amar Awade, otherwise known for the federal government as Flappy and Flapper Poker. That guy is here in the indictment for the cheating at poker stuff. Shane Hanan, the guy who I just described to you, Sugar Shane Hanan, a guy who has his own long criminal history that is also frankly hilarious at times, and that's chronicled as well. That guy is the character named in both. He is named in both the NBA betting scandal indictment and in the rigged poker game scandal and indictment. And so the roots of this, right? When you're talking about those bets, when you're talking about the Ty Lue alleged inside information stuff, when you're talking about the Damon Jones alleged inside information stuff, when you're talking about the Terry Rozier alleged inside information stuff, when you're talking about the Chauncey Billups alleged inside information stuff, that is all being run through the same characters from the poker side of things. These are two separate indictments. What they are not is two separate stories. This is one messy, big-ass story in which the core of it are these characters that are being revealed as, connected to the Italian mafia, and who you might remember from the time Jonte Porter got banned for life. They're still here in this story.
That's a good cartoon. It's a good cartoon. You look sinister there. You look like you're up to no good. Kawhi looks confused. Steve Ballmer looks enraged. You look a little bit evil.
That's why they didn't text you back, bro. This picture right here.
Hard to blame you. I am worried, by the way. I am worried that I can't just call anyone anymore and just be like, hey, what's up?
Pablo, have you heard anything from the Heat? How they feel about this? Do they want their pick back? Do they feel that the Hornets screwed them? That the NBA screwed them? Do you know anything about how they feel?
So look, Barry Jackson at the Herald, as you guys know, he's been on top of that, right? So read what he's reporting. I would say the AP also had some good reporting on that in terms of how the NBA is sort of splitting the baby here. We're going to put this stuff into sort of an account instead of having to actually pay Rozier directly during this season. The stuff that I am fascinated by, though, that we report in this episode about the NBA's investigation into Terry Rozier, right? So to recap, Terry Rozier's attorney, a guy named Jim Trusty, who not coincidentally happens to be a former Trump attorney. That's part of the story here, too. What do you do when you're under indictment by the government? You try to go and perhaps get people who are connected to the White House. I digress. What Jim Trusty says is that the NBA cleared Terry Rozier, right? What the NBA, a league source at the league office, told us is that the NBA never stopped its investigation into Rozier. They just never found a smoking gun, using language that may be familiar to you in my previous aspiration investigation. So in other words, They did not find the smoking gun that would allow them to take action, but they never stopped investigating. They hired, in fact, I am told, a firm that is familiar to anybody who's followed my other reporting, a firm named Wachtell Lipton, right? And so what happens is not that they stop the investigation, according to the league office source we spoke to, but they merely just allow the federal government to take it from there. If I am the Miami Heat, a question that I have is, if your investigation never actually stopped, why did we, the Miami Heat, not know that there was an investigation in the first place?
That's what I'm saying.
Right? The illegal, sort of the allegedly illegal, unusual betting activity, March 23, 2023, I believe, that's a Terry Rozier game, where there was unusual betting activity. That game was flagged almost immediately by the gambling operators, and credit to them for doing it. The NBA was informed. The NBA opens the investigation. They do nothing. They allow Rozier to be traded for a first rounder and more, right? That's the story of the Heat. Simultaneously, the reason I started with the politics stuff is that the reason this became a problem was because the federal government, the DOJ, the FBI, the Eastern District of New York, they said, we're not letting up on this. We're going to continue to investigate. And the results of their investigation are in their indictments. The NBA's investigation, of course, sort of vaporized into nothing. And now everyone's trying to say what they did or did not know and when they did or did not know it, all of which is of interest to people who serve in Congress in Washington, D.C.
Barry Jackson tweeted this morning about Pablo's new Rozier reporting. It makes it all the more outrageous that the Heat wasn't told pre-trade.
Yeah, I mean, that's a real question for them to have, I dare say.